Good day. This session is entitled Taking Care of the Man in the Mirror. And it is important to me because I didn't. I really was thinking that I could just take care of everybody else. It didn't matter who or what or why. I was going to take care of myself later. And that was my kids, my parents, people at work, my colleagues, just my friends. Whatever was going on, there was always something more important than taking care of myself. And I really thought this was the norm. It never occurred to me that not taking care of myself could result in my world just tumbling like a house of cards. But that is exactly what happened. And I did not know what hit me. I was angry. I could literally feel my blood boiling inside my body. I was emotionally reactive to almost anything that was said or done. I had perceived that it was an insult or a slight. I always thought it was their fault. They were the ones who were wrong. Until it got to the point that so many things were happening in so many areas that I had to face the fact that I was the only constant, and something with me had to be involved for at least some of it. And I had to figure out exactly what was going on in my world. And that's when my search began. I had to find myself. I had to find my calm again. I had to find my happiness again. And that's when I found three very important things. The first is the fact that taking care of myself was not the same thing as being selfish. Second, that there are strategies that have been scientifically proven to actually increase levels of personal happiness if you practice them on a regular basis. And three, that there are techniques for handling conflicts. And guess what? They worked. They all worked. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. And it's not that I think that you are up against that wall like I was, but the truth is, once you hit that mountain, you need to know that there are strategies out there that can help you. So this is going to introduce those strategies for you now so that you'll have them should you ever be in need. The first lesson is self-care. It is very important that we all establish a habit of self-care. Self-care is anything you do on a regular basis that helps you enhance or maintain your health and happiness and your well-being, certainly. Self-care is important so that you can be your most effective self for both personal and professional arenas. In 2010, Tom Rath and Jim Harder wrote a book called Well-Being, The 5 Essential Elements. And the areas they highlighted include, number 1, career well-being, where you make sure that you really love what you're doing every day. Social well-being, having strong social ties and relationships and making sure that there is love in your life. Number 3, financial well-being, being able to manage your economic needs. 4, your physical well-being, making sure that your health and energy are in order so that you can do whatever you want to do and need to do on a daily basis. And 5, community well-being, having strong ties to your community, making sure that you have a place to hang your hat. They care about you, you care about them, regardless of where your community is. But you actually hear about self-care more often than you realize. You hear about it every single time you fly on an airplane. When that stewardess says, if the oxygen mask drops down, place it on yourself before you place it on anyone you're traveling with. That is the ultimate example of self-care and what happens if you don't do it. Because if you don't put that oxygen mask on yourself first, You can't help anyone else. You never drop yourself to pick up someone else. Then, my second lesson, practices that are proven to scientifically increase the levels of happiness. Until the late 1990s, very little had been researched about happiness. The focus was only on the negatives. You had addictions, anger, anxiety, bipolar issues, bullying, death, dying, divorce, depression, everything that had to do with stress and trauma and violence. And that was really where the focus of the research was. But in 1998, Martin Seligman was making his inaugural speech as the president of the American Psychological Association. And that's when he said that psychology was really only half-baked. The part about mental illness was baked, very well baked. But the part about your strengths and finding happiness, that was the side that needed to be baked equally well. And that was the turning point. And if you think about that, that's 1999 or 2000. That's when the positives began to be researched. And today I have 6 happiness practices that have truly changed my life, and I think they can help improve yours. The first one is called 3 Good Things. Each day for 21 days, write down 3 things that went well for you that day and why they went well. You need to write it rather than just keep them in your mind. It makes a big, big difference. And these can be big items like I got a raise, or it could be something small like somebody got me a cup of coffee. You write down in as much detail as you can, and writing who said what, who did what, how they felt, how you feel now. And then you will have that space to focus on the positives in your life. And those practices will be teaching you to notice, remember, and really appreciate the better things in your life. And it will also help you pay closer attention to the positives as they come your way without you even realizing it. Your brain is going to start scanning the landscape, looking for those good things, and you will learn to appreciate them even more fully. And because you've written them down, you'll have that record. You can look back and remember all of those good things that you were lucky enough to have come your way. The second strategy is called random acts of kindness. Now, we all perform acts of kindness at one time or another. Sometimes people don't even realize that something's being done for them, but their effects can be profound, not only on the recipient, but on the giver as well. For this exercise, you need to perform 5 acts of kindness all in one day. So you really only need to do this about once every week. And this is going to be a way of both promoting kindness in the world and cultivating happiness in yourself and in others. These should not be the same acts, because if you do something very often, it's going to lose its impact. And you don't even have to do it for the same person. It makes no difference if they know or if they don't know. But performing those acts of kindness will make a difference. It could be feeding a stranger's parking meter. It could be donating blood. It could be helping a friend with a chore, providing a meal for the homeless, or for anyone in need. And after each act, you write down what you did in at least 1 or 2 sentences. And if you really want more bang for your buck, then you're going to write down how it made you feel. It is proven that doing these acts makes you feel better, because you feel like you're thinking more highly of yourself, and you become more aware of the positive social interactions, and it can also increase your pro-social attitudes and tendencies towards others. So it's a real bonus. A perfect example of an act of kindness in the workplace is something I found on YouTube by a company called Big Commerce. Watch the video and see if you realize what you think those people are feeling, both the givers and the receivers.
Hey, this will only take a minute. Oh, come on in. Yeah. So this is kind of a strange thing, but I have some feedback for you. So on headset, push play. No, it's okay.
Hey Mel, Paul here, obviously. Quite a long time ago I told you I thought you were a rock star, and I absolutely do. You're a tremendous person. I just love the hell out of you, so thank you so much for being such a great human being and caring on a personal level.
And he's really helped me progress as an engineer, and wouldn't be where I am today without him.
That's nice.
That is awesome. That is really awesome.
Hey Akila, this is Liz. Wanted to send a quick note to you just to let you know how much I appreciate you and everything you do in this office. You are the sunshine of my office life.
Becoming friends with you has been great. Getting to know you and your life, it's been fantastic, and I think everybody that knows you can attest that that's all down to if you've ever tried to say no to you about something that you need to get done. And so keep not taking no for an answer. You're an amazing person, and I'm glad you've stuck around this long. Thanks.
I leave every single meeting that I have with y'all with about 60 action items, and I'm stoked about it every single time. Y'all are the kind of people that don't just care about work and getting things done. You're also very, very much into what's going on personally with people. You connect with people, you make people smile. Really just with y'all's presence alone. I see y'all going around to people's desks all day, also giving them action items, and every time y'all leave, those people have a huge smile on their face.
Since the moment that you walked in the door, it's been just like a complete whirlwind. You just get shit done, you're easy to work with, you're smart, you always have something to add to make a project better. We really appreciate you. So glad you're on our team because we'd be screwed if you weren't. So thanks so much, dude.
Thank you.
How great was that? I loved looking at all of their reactions. Now you're going to have an opportunity to practice this third strategy in a few minutes. This is all about active listening. Now certainly we've all had conversations where we were really only half paying attention to someone else and our minds were a million other places. When that happens, we miss opportunities to really connect with that person. This exercise helps you express active interest in what the other person has to say and makes that other person feel heard, which is a great way to foster empathy and connection. This technique is especially well suited for difficult conversations and for expressing support. Research suggests that using this technique also helps others feel more understood and can improve relationship satisfaction in only about 20 minutes of time, which is wonderful. That's when both of you have a turn, or just 10 minutes if only one person is talking. With this practice session, you need a partner. Each person will have a turn to speak. You need to first find a quiet place where you can talk with your partner without interruptions or distractions. Person 1 speaks about his biggest disappointment for up to 10 minutes and no interruptions. Person 2 says nothing. they are going to be the ones practicing the active listening. You nod when somebody talks. Your body language, maybe you're leaning forward, your eye contact, whatever it is, that's what you're going to do without ever saying one word. When that first person is through speaking, the second person is going to paraphrase. If the first person feels like it wasn't correctly paraphrased, they're going to make those corrections. When the correct paraphrase has been agreed upon, that's when you are going to then offer some clarifying questions. You don't want to say anything that jumps to conclusions, but you want to make sure that that first person has the opportunity to fill in the blanks themselves. Like when you might say, when you said you felt unnecessary in the meeting, tell me more about that. What exactly did you mean? That way they can fill it in, not you. After that, you are going to express empathy. It doesn't matter if you agree or you don't agree. If that other person expresses negative feelings, try to validate those feelings. No questions, no defending them, no explanations, no suggestions. Just let them know that you feel or you understand what they are feeling. Gee, I can sense that you are feeling frustrated about that. Or even, I can understand how that situation could cause frustration. Avoid judgment and avoid giving any advice. When that period is over, now it's time to trade places. And you're going to follow the exact same scenarios, one step at a time. There's going to be talking while the other person is just the active listener. Then they are going to paraphrase. Once the paraphrase is correct, they are going to ask clarifying questions, express empathy without judgments or advice. Try that for the next 20 minutes or so. See how you feel, and we'll talk after that. I hope you found that helpful. Researchers say active listening helps listeners better understand other people's perspectives and helps speakers feel more understood and less threatened. So that is a win-win. It can prevent miscommunication and spare hurt feelings on both sides, which is also a benefit. By improving communication and preventing arguments from escalating, active listening can make relationships more enduring and more satisfying. The fourth strategy is a gratitude journal, and this takes 10 to 15 minutes one time a week, or at the most 3 times a week. Again, you must write down the things for which you are grateful. And again, writing, instead of just keeping that list in your mind, is essential. Research suggests that people who feel gratitude for the good things in their lives really enjoy better health and greater happiness. Many times people take positive things for granted, but studies show that consciously focusing on the positives can create an attitude of gratitude in just a few weeks' time. The general instructions are writing up to 5 things for which you feel grateful, and the goal is to remember the good experience, the person, the thing in your life, and then enjoy the good emotions that come with it. And here are 7 steps that'll really help it be even better for you. Number 1, be as specific as possible. You really want to be specific as to who did what. Not just, I'm grateful for my coworkers, but maybe I appreciate that my coworkers brought meals over all of last week when I was so sick that I couldn't make them myself. You want to go into detail with fewer events than writing a superficial list. So if you only hit 1 or 2 things for which you're grateful, that's perfectly fine. You want to focus on the people rather than the things in your life because they have a greater impact for you. You also want to try subtraction, not just addition. Consider what your life would be like if you did not have some of those people or things in your life that are so important to you, and then really appreciate that you are so lucky, you are grateful that you don't have those negative outcomes because you avoided or escaped or prevented by having those good things actually in your life. That's what you don't want to take for granted. See the good things as gifts. And if something is a surprise or unexpected, you especially want to mark that down because that really makes a stronger level of gratitude than something that is maybe more typical in your life. And if you repeat certain people or certain things, that's fine, but you want to revise so that you're writing about some of the same people, but you are talking about a different aspect in the details. And finally, you want to write regularly. Whether you decide to write every other day, once a week, or 3 times a week, that's fine, but commit to a regular time to journal all the good things and then honor that commitment. Your 5th strategy is to write a gratitude letter, and this is something that you could actually do once a year or even twice a year. And this does not have to be some big long letter. It could be 1 page long, and that would be enough. But you want to write that letter to someone who really made a difference in your life. It could be a relative, a friend, a mentor, a teacher, someone. And better, certainly for everybody involved, if they're alive, because you actually want to deliver this letter. So first, you write about what they did that impacted your life. Then write about where you are now, what you're doing. And then, finally, you're going to write about how what they did then really has impacted what you are doing now. Notice how you feel as you're writing that letter, and just imagine how they're going to feel when they read it. This is going to make a huge difference. This next strategy, your 6th one, is something that is called making best life predictions. And I like to combine it with writing a personal mission statement. First, you need to think about where you want to go in life. And to really know that, you have to start with the end in mind. And you pretty much have to do that for everything. If I'm going to visit a new friend, I need to know certain directions. I need some landmarks along the way. And this is no different. So you think about, what do I want to do? Think about 5 years from now. Write where you hope to be in your life, what you hope you'll be doing, who you hope will be special in your life, and list all of those roles that you want to play in life. Do you want to be a parent? Do you want to be a spouse? Not a specific job, but what type of a job? Because you're really thinking about what will make you feel fulfilled and what type of change do you want to make in the world. Then also think about, if you were to disappear off the face of the earth, what would you want your legacy to be? How would you want people to remember you? That's what you're thinking about. Then you're going to take all of that information and you are going to write one statement in present tense as though your dream of dreams has already come true. You are living your dreams, not I am going to blah, 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 but I am a. And that statement is going to be your personal mission statement and will be the road, kind of like the GPS system, the road that you're going to travel, and that's going to be your guidelines. So for the next 15 minutes, go ahead and write about your future self 5 years from now, and then turn it in to your personal mission statement. The seventh strategy for happiness is also one of the recommendations given by the University of Texas at Dallas's Center for Brain Health. They call it the power of none, but I call it, and I'm pretty sure along with pretty much of the rest of the world, mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is paying attention in a particular way where you notice what you're feeling and what you're thinking. You're not making any judgments about it, and you're staying in the present time. This is something that is a secular practice that Dr. John Kabat-Zinn brought to the University of Massachusetts in 1979. And when he did this, he took all of the secular components of his yoga and meditation practices and put them in a manual. And this is what actually became MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. It's now used in the military, in corporations. It's part of the healthcare system for the UK and Australia. It's used in schools. You have so many famous athletes and teams that use this, as well as prisons. It is all over the place. The Center for Brain Health says it's unplugging and giving your brain a rest, and it will make you more creative and give you better mental agility. But I can tell you that it also will decrease your stress and anxiety, and it will improve your overall health and well-being. Plus, you will be less emotionally reactive, which was a huge benefit for me. And there's a reason for all of that happening. Mindfulness gives people distance from their thoughts and from their feelings. It helps them tolerate and work through those unpleasant things rather than becoming overwhelmed by them. And you can, when you're practicing mindfulness, you can actually be in any position. You can be sitting in a chair, on the floor. You can lay down. You can have your feet up. It doesn't matter. You just need to be in a comfortable position that you can maintain for a good while. And no matter what you're doing as far as your meditation, you always start with 3 slow, deep inhales and 3 slow, deep exhales. That will be enough to calm your system down. Try and breathe through your nose, and when you do that, you will be on your way. The 2 kinds of mindfulness that I'm going to tell you about today are things that I do on a daily basis. First of all, you have mindful breathing. You can feel the inhale and exhale through an anchor that's either going to be your belly, your chest, or your nose. And just like an anchor helps a boat stay in place, that anchor for mindful breathing is going to help you stay with the practice. It is going to calm that chattering mind that's always talking to you. It's going to stop you being distracted by regrets in the past or worries about the future. You're going to start counting your inhales and exhales. And when you find yourself at a number and you don't know how you got there, that's when you're going to start over at 1. And instead of just beating yourself up over not being able to stay focused and having to start over, you need to realize that that's actually helping you. You are breaking the habit of your brain losing focus, and you are teaching it how to pay better focus every time you notice that your mind has wandered. The more you do it, the less your mind will be yapping at you, and you will be calmer, and you will find yourself right where you need to be. Now, the same process is actually used for mindfulness of sound, But instead of counting, you simply list the sounds that you hear. You don't get caught up in words if you hear somebody talking or if you hear music. You just list man talking, music playing, car passing, wind blowing, bicycle tires turning. You just list. And when you do that, it will be, whether you're counting or whether you are listing the sounds, it will be impossible for your brain to keep yapping at you. And before you know it, you will be able to better deal with stress and negative emotions, and you will sharpen your skills of concentration. It is recommended that people practice mindfulness 15 minutes a day, or maybe 10 minutes in the morning and another 10 minutes in the evening. And when you think about it, everybody has 10 or 15 minutes. It's not a matter of if you can make the time for it. It's realizing that you need to take the time and that you are worth it. Finally, the third component of this talk includes strategies for how to handle conflict. And it's also a great way to slow it down if you have already gotten into the beginning of a conflict and you want to get out of there. I have found that these strategies to be invaluable, and no matter where you work, you will have conflicts and disagreements. These are going to help you there, and they're also going to help you at home. The sooner you develop some behavioral guidelines for yourself, the sooner it will be something that you're able to practice. When conflict has arisen, you will be better at it, you will be better prepared, and everybody is going to benefit. First, there are 4 guidelines that you need to practice. First, the first guideline, have difficult conversations face to face. That's not the time that you want to have an email. And if you do have emails that are going back and forth 3 times, not agreeing, that's when you want to stop them. And that's your second guideline. Once you hit the 3rd time of an email going back and forth, you want to go in for a conversation. The 3rd tip is to recognize if the conversation needs to be in a group setting or if it's better one-on-one. And the 4th recommendation is that you do not want to get pulled into an argument just because somebody else has invited you. This might not be your issue, so don't get involved. You just don't have to accept the challenge. Now, there's also certain language for offering feedback or receiving feedback. When and then you want to say something very specific, an action, a behavior, a language, whatever it is. When you were late with that paperwork and we missed the deadline, that's when, number 2, you go to the impact. The impact on me or on the team or on our clients. And again, you want to be very specific and you want to focus on results and the relationship impact. The impact on the team is that we looked like we were not prepared and competent to handle this. You need to identify one or all of the entities that were impacted. If it's just you, if it's just the team, if it's just the customer, if it's all 3, you want to name all of them. Then the next step is I feel, not you make me feel, because actually nobody makes you feel anything. Use a true feeling word and own it. It's not a thought. Own your own feelings. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm skeptical, whatever it is, you need to do that. Then you need to say, help me understand your perspective or your intention or your objective, because there might be something else going on, and if there is, you need to know exactly what that is. Let them go ahead and explain. You can ask them, what can I do or offer? Or what I can offer or do is. And again, be specific. I can give you reminders along the way. We can meet every so often so that we make sure this never happens again. But then you need to tell them what I need from you is. And again, you need a very specific request. Do not apologize for making the request. I need to make sure this never happens again. Then you ask, can we agree on this and move forward? Are you willing to accept and to honor my request? You need to get that answer. For your final exercise, I want you to think of one difficult conversation you have had at work. Hopefully you will have that business opportunity that you can look through now, but if not, fine, use a personal one. I want you to use that script. I want you to think of what you could have said if you could hit the replay button. So use the guidelines, write what you would say, so write the script and see where you think that conversation would have gone instead of where it actually went. Now that you've written the script, can you imagine what a different outcome might have been? Now remember, not every difficult discussion needs to take place on the spur of the moment. No one is thinking clearly when they're upset. Wait until you're calm, follow the script, write down what you want to say, think about how you want to say it, practice it, maybe even rehearse it with someone you trust, and then have that conversation. And the truth is, sometimes it's just not going to work. So if all else fails, you need to think about 3 different things. What can we agree on? Where can we compromise? And what else is left to discuss? And that's just going to be how you all move forward, no matter what the outcome was. I hope that you have gotten something important from today's lesson. I want you to remember the 3 main points: that self-care for you is essential, that there are scientifically proven strategies for happiness that are wonderful to use and can change your life, and there are also strategies that you can use to handle conflict effectively. Thank you.